Everybody, it's Friday. I'm still Kevin Murcko, as far as I know. This is still CoinMetro, even though I'm not in space today. And this is our AMA, little thing we like to do every Friday. You ask questions, I answer them. Coming to you live today from Central Florida in the United States. It should be fairly obvious from the ridiculous mirror behind my head. You're going to see my hand a lot because I'm on mobile today. We'll see what the quality looks like. I think it's going to be all right. I'm going to try to keep my hand out of the picture. We'll see how this works. I see Retta B2K asking for likes already. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. So I guess I need a mic check. It should be good. Hey, Harold, how are you? If anybody doesn't know, me and Harold had a little bit of battle royale, I think, last week in our Telegram channel. All good, though. I think we both got some frustrations out on that chat. Reba2K, VXV is getting some attention. Any news on the baskets? No news on the baskets, on the basket front. I think we've talked about this before. In order for us to take full advantage of providing something like VXV baskets or something like our ETCF, what we need to do is acquire that investment firm license in Estonia. So we're currently in that process. We're in the documentation phase of going through to acquire that license. It is going to take some time. It's not going to be until early to mid next year when we're actually going to be able to move forward. Doing it before that, we would be violating the law, considering that those baskets are either controlled by a bot, or by a human. In the case of ETCF, well, it could also be a bot. But at the end of the day, the bot is still a auto trader, which under the regulation still requires, under law still requires regulation. So we're not going to hear too much about those VXV baskets until we get that license. But once we do, we're going to hear a lot about those VXV baskets. BizDev, Deep Philippe. Yeah. Good old BizDev. So I've been this week in Florida with my youngest daughter, who's still sleeping. It's 8 a.m. here right now. I think tomorrow's our last day in the Disney parks. For those of you who might be one of your first times listening to the AMA, I bring my now 10-year-old, since she was about 4, twice a year. Not necessarily just to go to Disney, but my mother lives in Florida, and we come up here to visit her. And I also bring my daughter to the parks. It's like the 1 week a year that my daughter and I can bond, 15, 16, 17 hours a day while waiting in lines and drinking $5 waters. One of the best ways to bond. We do other things together, but this really does. We just pack in a week of just kind of laughing and having fun. So not a lot on the BizDev front this week. Not that doesn't mean there isn't anything happening on the BizDev front. There's always something happening on the BizDev front. I don't have much to report this week on the BizDev front. Other than that, we're still back and forth chatting about getting our first, well, not our first, but outside of Ignium, our first client into that KYC as a service, as well as our swap widget as a service, our first 2 B2B products. So there is some BizDev movement on that front. I also have a call scheduled next week with one of the cannabis companies that I met in LA when I was there a couple weeks back. I've already had conversations with 2 other cannabis companies. All of them are looking to do utility tokenization into their own communities. I think they're going to be pretty cool projects. This particular company, the CEO is a friend of mine. The name of the company is Pineapple. They're based out of LA. Also, I believe, work out of Miami and Puerto Rico. However, that call is going to happen next week on Monday, I believe, 2 p.m. Pacific time. So next week we'll have some more BizDev news about that specifically. Hey, Jens, how are you? Sorry, you guys saw my finger on that one. Any ETA V1 of the app? Well, ETA is August, as I said before. I think we're pretty close. That first semi-wrapped version of the app. I think we're pretty close to getting that bad boy live, but it will be in August. And then we're going to see some rapid succession of updates after that to go from partially wrapped to React Native in full, using a lot of native features from both iPhone and Android. I've tested the wrap version at least a few versions back on Android. There was a few little things that needed to be amended, but so far so good. And I think there are a few features that are still going to be added before the release. How's CAD coming along? Well, like I said before in previous AMAs, we do have an on-ramp for CAD. We do have a banking provider that we already do business with that can provide us with Canadian dollars. What I don't like about it is that it's SWIFT only. It's not localized Canadian deposits via a system like Interact, for example. That's what I'm really looking for. Still looking for partners that can provide that to us. At this point, I haven't really found any. I found one or maybe even two, but not very competitively priced, and thus still looking. If we have enough demand for CAD, we can launch it SWIFT only. We can also get CAD pairs, at least initially, up for majors, then probably XCM, and then probably some minors as well after we see a little bit of volume come through those pairs. But for now, still looking. If you know of a provider that's in Canada that can provide us with Interact, then let me know and I'll reach out. Oh, finger again. Sorry about that. PRQ staking ETA. Hey, Philip. So PRQ. So obviously, if you're a PRQ fan, you know about IQ protocol. I know about IQ protocol. I'm a PRQ fan, so you should too. I'm sure we talked about it here at least a few times. So PRQ has its own staking program, or its own staking, on-chain staking, called IQ protocol. We have yet to integrate IQ protocol. The guys at Parsec have been busy. We have had cursory discussions around the integration of IQ protocol. There were also discussions about initially not integrating, but us simply taking what's in cold storage and moving it into IQ protocol and then dispersing the rewards across the platform. The one issue with that is that right now, to do that, we need to work with the Binance chain. And I'm not a fan of working with the Binance chain, or the Binance anything for that matter. So for now, it's on pause, at least that initial, what would have been an easier non-integration integration. However, we do plan on integrating IQ protocol. They also plan on supporting additional chains. When that happens, that's going to be more of a discussion than it is currently. Simple as that. Not a Binance fan. I don't know if any of you knew that already. Maybe. Are you guys getting IQ protocol up for something that isn't Binance? Yeah, well, there you go, MF. That's what I'm talking about. It's not, we really can't alter the way the protocol functions and which chain it works with from our side. That really has to be done by the boys at Parsec. I know that they're working on it. They want to be agnostic as they can be. They went with Binance, I would imagine, because they're trying to poke Binance for a listing, which eventually I'm sure will happen for Parsec. It's a great company. It's a great team, and they're doing great things. Not that I think getting listed on Binance is great, but considering how Binance does their listings, I think it's pretty inevitable at some point that they do get listed. It's not really about volumes for Binance. Quant was just recently listed. Quant's volumes were not spectacular, but Quant became a thing. And I think PRQ and Parsec is going to become a thing as well. So yeah, we're waiting on the boys at at Parsec to get some new chains into IQ protocol, which again, they're also looking to do. We're just waiting for it to happen. A second here, let's see. Any thought on the crypto tax news in the US? Crypto tax news. You're gonna have to fill me in on the crypto tax news. I've been following, obviously, this bill that's going through, I believe, the Senate right now, though I don't think that has anything to do with taxes in general. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I read maybe I missed that page of the bill. But please fill me in. Give me a bit more information on your question. Give me a link, and then I'll take a look. Debit card still 12 weeks away. 12 weeks starts once the underwriting bank gives its approval to start the process, which we don't have yet. Now, keep in mind that summer in Estonia, you know, those 6 sunny days that happen a year in the country, generally people go on vacation. So we see a lot of people going on vacation in July and August, and that slows things down a bit. We did get some questions from the underwriting bank initially, which we answered. However, somehow lost in communication. They didn't get the answers. They asked us again for the answers about 2 weeks ago, roughly. And I said, oh, I thought we sent those already. And I went ahead and forwarded them to the bank. We still haven't gotten a response yet, though. But again, it is the summer. It is Estonia. I think they've now had their 5th sunny day. So there's only one left. It's only one left. So, you know, we want to make sure that everybody gets in some sun. They need that vitamin D, or else even if they do process those answers, they're not going to be able to do much throughout the rest of the year as they go into a deep depression and kind of just, you know, sit in a corner and cry about it. So not everybody in Estonia sits in corners and cries. I mean, not a massive percentage of the population anyway. So anyway, so it has moved. We're just waiting on the okay from the underwriting bank. Then we get to submit to MasterCard and Visa. That's the 12-week process. Well, 8 to 12 weeks. So that hasn't started yet. Probably not going to start until early September when everybody's back to work and has enough vitamin D to get to the rest of the year. Will there be a replacement AMA fire site with Kadena? Yes. I think we're looking to schedule it for next week. Given the fact that I am in Florida this week and spending most of my days waiting in lines and hating life for how much my feet hurt, couldn't really do it this week, but we will get it done next week. I'm back in Mexico on, is it Wednesday? It's Wednesday. And then Thursday, Friday, still be in the same place in Mexico. And then over the weekend, we'll be traveling to northern Mexico to visit some family. So anyway, that's my travel itinerary. And what that says is that I think if we can get it done Thursday or Friday, we're going to get it done Thursday or Friday. If not, it'll be the following week, and it'll be from another different locale, but still within the same general area of the world. So looking forward to scheduling that with Kadena. I think someone on our team might already reached out on Slack. If not, I'm going to do that myself and see if we can get that bad boy scheduled. Hi, Kevin. Do you know what percentage of CoinMetro clients own XCM? Any estimates? The last time I looked, it was in the upper 70s. I don't necessarily think it's waned. I mean, I don't think it's gone down too much. Yes, price has gone down, but price going down doesn't mean people aren't buying XCM. You know, again, I've said this before about markets. I'm going to say it again because I think people have a misconception of how markets move, meaning when markets go down, everybody's selling. When markets go up, everybody's buying. No, you need to have sellers when people are buying. You need to have buyers when people are selling. So generally speaking, now when you look, it can be pretty disparaging, or you can see a very disparaging or difference. Disparaging or difference, Jesus. You can see a big disparity or a difference when you look at those buy and sell graphs for individual assets, right? Because you might see the buy line way up here and the sell line like this, right? Creeping up or creeping down or whatever. I can't really mold my hands in that way. Carpal tunnel, almost. The reality is, in most markets, even when a market skyrockets or tanks, you generally have, at a very minimum, maybe 45% on the other side. Meaning, if a market is skyrocketing, that's a pretty low minimum. But let's say that the market is moving higher very fast. You probably have, at a maximum, somewhere in the realm of 55% on the buy side, 45% on the sell side, and vice versa for when a market goes down. There's always buyers in a bear market. There has to be. If there isn't, the market would simply stop. So there's definitely people still buying XCM. The amount that people are buying may fluctuate. The amount that people are selling may fluctuate. But the amount of buyers and sellers generally is going to be similar. So I don't think it's changed too much. In fact, I haven't looked at the numbers, to be fair, to be honest, in probably the last 4 to 5 weeks. But we were in the higher 70 percentile. I think we're still within the 70 percentile, to be honest. I don't think it's changed all that much. You know, the thing is that when you look at the broader crypto market, we saw the broader crypto market fall. Yeah, we all saw that. When the broader crypto market falls, generally at some point it recovers, the broader market, right? And we've seen some assets do quite well. We've seen some assets recover. We've seen Bitcoin and Ether start their recovery processes. Big up to Ether for the London hard fork. Look at Arsenio Hall, whoop, whoop. I don't know if anybody knows who that is, but he had a really bad talk show a long time ago. Was in a couple decent movies, though. Was never the star, but a good supporting role. Anyway, totally off topic there for a couple seconds, and I almost forgot what I was talking about. Good thing the question's still on the screen. That's why I leave it there. You know, in case I get early onset dementia, I can still figure out what I was talking about. So I think that, and yeah, so estimate, it was actually about I already answered that question. I started answering another question. The other question is, how come XCM hasn't seen the same recovery? XCM isn't as well known as Bitcoin and Ethereum, obviously. When they start to recover, CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera covers their recovery. We aren't quite there yet. So our recovery generally happens from new clients coming in that buoy price, and also old clients that are trading, buying and selling around different price points, and new hodlers. That's how we buoy price. So what we need to do to see the same type of recovery. Now, still, remember, since January 1st, 8 months ago, 8 months and 5 days, maybe 7 days, I don't know, a little more than 8 months ago, we are still up roughly 6x, 5 to 6x. Not too bad. If we could do that every year, I would be immensely happy. Whether we do it in 1 month, 6 months, 12 months, 11 months and 4 days, that's still a great return. I do expect to see higher highs. I've said that, but by the end of the year. Why? Well, not only will many things inside the company happen, the release of the app, new marketing techniques, new people coming onto the team in every department, which will provide some new life and new vigor, and that includes the marketing team. And so I do expect to see, not just with XCM, but broad across the crypto markets, and we've already seen this start. Obviously, we have seen recovery of other assets. It's already started, but I do expect to see it on XCM as well. It just takes a bit more time because we're not as broadly known yet. Oh, keep trying to keep my finger out of it. I'm just not very good at it, apparently. Any news from the UAE? We haven't heard much about that lately. Hey, Moni. So I actually had a discussion, this is a bit of biz dev, actually. Surprised I missed this one. Thanks for bringing this up again, Moni. I had a discussion, I would say roughly a week and a half ago, with someone from, I'm going to remember the initials of this organization. I don't remember the initials of the organization. Anyway, it's basically a government-run fund that invests in startups. And he's the head of that fund. And we had a talk. It was a great talk. It's about potentially bringing CoinMetro into the UAE, and doing so by getting support from the government, and really focusing on building out a platform that works for the citizens of the UAE. I think that's a pretty cool concept. I'm not saying that it's front burner yet, but it is something that we're exploring. And we're going to have our second call on Monday, and that's going to be with the specific internal head inside the organization of the fintech group. They're very interested in bringing in new and innovative companies. They're very interested in crypto. I think it could be a unique opportunity for CoinMetro. It could be a unique opportunity for the UAE to get somebody out there spearheading some changes in regulation. They are very fast movers. Given the structure, the government structure of the country, they can move extremely fast in days and make changes that are substantive to the laws, and thus to the regulation. So that's exciting. I think that's the most exciting part, to be honest. And we're going to have some continued discussions. Also, waiting, I was trying to get on a call this week, Wednesday, Thursday, with someone else based in the UAE, in another government organization, also running a fund, but we haven't been able to connect. We will do that next week. And a fiat on and off ramp, which I'm waiting to finalize some discussions with so that we can bring on AED pairing in the meantime and AED on and off ramps. So lots of stuff happening there. Just, it's a process. It's a process of dealing with several different parties and getting connected to all three of them and working through a few things. Lots of calls. Since it is the summer again, it's sometimes easier and sometimes harder to organize those calls. And for myself, I've been traveling. Others have been traveling as well. But we're getting there and we're moving forward. So thanks for bringing up the question, because kind of forgot about that. So nice to mention it. When institutional investors, say Krispy Kreme, do you mean into the company like equity holders, or are you talking more about traders? Investors are investors, traders are traders. Lots of people confuse the two. I actually saw a tweet today that said many people think investors need to look at charts, but they don't. Of course they don't. They're investors. Investing is not trading. Investing is passive, or should be passive, whereas trading is obviously not, or well, most of the time isn't. Depends on how you trade, I guess. If you're a day trader, you're bald and pulling your hair out and smashing your head against probably 12 or 15 monitors at least, and there's got to be at least 9,000 lines on each monitor, or what kind of trader are you? So yeah, we do have institutional investors in equity. We have a couple. And as far as traders, meaning institutional traders, well, CoinMetro isn't really made for institutional traders, but that's not a bad thing, right? Now, professional traders, that's another thing. Professional traders, sure, and we already have a few. People that do volume on the platform can be considered professional. You don't need to sit in a bank or sit at a bank desk or etc. to be considered a professional trader. Institutional is, endowments and pension funds. And that's not really our ball game yet. We're retail focused. And look, that's not a terrible thing. The retail market is massive and it's still underserved. For all those comments about, the big companies that currently exist in crypto, whether they be the Binances, the Hoibees, or, whoever, crypto in general on the retail side, well, finance in general on the retail side is underserved. Underserved meaning that shit service, shit platforms, shit pricing, etc. Just a relatively bad experience when in comparison to what institutional players receive. And that's what CoinMetro has been trying to battle ever since, 2017. And we're still on that battlefield and we're still fighting. How many people in the marketing team? From Bjorn. How many people in the marketing team? Well, currently we have, let's see, Paul, Cody, Morteza, Olga, Andrew, Shulai, who I think is we're moving Shulai to potentially to a new role, but that's 6 people currently in marketing. 6, all focused on different things. Well, 2 of those people I guess are focused on something very similar content, but all focused on different things. Best time to load up on your XCM stack, super sale. Don't miss out. Absolutely. These prices will look very cheap once the price isn't here anymore. Just like 3 cents was, a high for a while. And people are like, well, I'll wait for it to go back down to 2. Then it jumped to 70. So with EIP 1559 London fork in place, would miners think twice about mining ETH, or there's still no change in mining preferences? Well, I think right now, miners are probably preparing, especially big outfits are preparing. They may be bringing on additional assets as well that they can mine with the same equipment that they currently have. But I don't think there's going to be a max exodus yet, simply due to the fact that there's no reason for there to be a mass exodus yet. But at the end of the day, we all know that ETH's vision is to go full proof of stake. But proof of stake is still requires, obviously, the stake, the people running the proof of stake nodes to process transactions. So the question is, will some of those mining entities that have access, that are already created in or own massive data centers will they switch to be processing transactions on the proof of stake network, or will they simply turn ETH off and move on to other assets? I think it's going to be the former. There's still going to be money to be made on the ETH network, and there's no reason not to use some of that capacity to do so. I don't expect a mass exodus yet, because there's no reason for a mass exodus yet. But obviously, if you've been mining on the proof of work network, or you currently are mining on the proof of work network for Ethereum, you are more than likely right now looking for additional assets that you can mine with that same equipment. Does CM still do IEOs? We can. We're not actively in the market looking for IEOs currently. I did mention in my little BizDev chat about the utility tokenization of now several cannabis companies. Those won't be traditional IEOs because there won't be an initial offering, but we will be opening up initial trading, and we will be the only venue where trading is possible. And at least in the beginning, when people are buying, they will be more than likely buying from one source, and that's going to be the issuer, even though there won't be a public offering from the issuer. So the issuer will own a lot of tokens. They will either airdrop or generally give away some of those tokens to some of their more prolific clients, and those clients will have the ability to come and sell them. But seeing as the majority of the token will still be held in treasury by the issuer, that's where most of the buyers are going to be buying from, at least in the beginning, first few days, weeks, months, etc. So you can consider those, I think, initial offerings, even though they're going to be structured a bit different than your average initial offering. The goal here isn't raising funds. It's to provide and integrate a utility token into their e-commerce ecosystem. But there still needs to be a place to buy and sell them. Sorry, guys. Trying to thumb through on a phone. It's kind of difficult. Not really difficult, just it's Friday. Whatever. What do you think the impact on the crypto market will be if there is no leverage trading at all? Would it, for example, be less volatile? It'd probably be more volatile because there'd be a lot less liquidity. So while most people think that leverage adds volatility, not really. It adds risk to the person trading on higher leverage, that's for sure, especially if they don't understand how to manage the leverage. But it's also adding volume, which reduces volatility. So I would say, if you look back on crypto, of course, there were less people in crypto in general as well. It's not like those two things don't necessarily go hand in hand, but there were much less people in crypto. But if you go back and look in 2016, 15, 14, before there were really any margin platforms or leverage platforms, look at the volatility. Look at the ticks. If you can find tick data, try to find tick data. You're going to see, ticks are just going to be like this. I mean, there's no way do you see something like this. It's just going to look like the EKG of someone going through a massive heart attack. It's going to look a mess, basically. It did look a mess. So leverage is a tool. Look, leverage is a form of credit in general terms. And credit, while this side of the world that I'm sitting in right now, meaning North America, has historically not known how to use credit as a tool. It just has indebted itself greatly and caused massive issues over the last couple decades. Credit is a tool, and if it's treated as a tool and you understand how to use that tool, it can be of a major benefit. Trading on leverage can be a major benefit. One is providing liquidity into the market. Two is allowing you to be able to navigate a market with less capital, and thus putting less capital at risk to potentially see larger gains. Meaning, even if you have $1 million, you only need to put 10,000 or 100,000 potentially to gain that same amount of buying power, or 200,000 and using, and use, or 500,000 using 2-to-1 leverage, not using too much leverage, but still gaining an advantage. And again, providing liquidity into the market. So I don't think it would be less volatile. I think it would be more volatile. And I think in general, leverage trading is a positive. We just need more education on how to manage risk. Any ETA and new listings? I don't have an ETA for you as I'm sitting here in front of this awesome mirror. I'm glad it's not a regular mirror because you can't see my bald spot, to be honest. Can we actually? No, see? Oh, well, maybe. I don't know. So no ETA while I'm sitting here, but listings are, well, you saw we listed, what, 9 assets, I think, in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And that's about the same amount of assets we listed in 3 years. So listings have become a priority for us. There are things right now that we're working on that kind of are all hands on deck, all man's on deck. She's not only is that crazy sexist, it's just really bad grammar. I don't know if it's just Friday. I think it's a Disney Friday is what it is. But any parent out there that's been to Disney for more than one day in a row knows about a Disney Friday. Terrible. Don't even know where I am half the time. My feet are killing me. I've eaten so much garbage food that I'm pretty sure I'm going to die more prematurely than I was a week ago. And if I hear, you know, hey guys, oh my God, one more time, I'm probably going to axe murder 3 or 4 people. But it's Florida, so I guess that just makes me a Floridian. Back to the news at hand. So ETA, I think, you know, I think I know that we will be listing more listings in the very short future. I don't know if August is going to see a large amount of listings, but coming into September, October, November, and December, you should expect that to pick up speed. Any update on the recruitment into developers? Well, our CTO just had a baby, so just became a new dad. So congratulations to Salvatore. Everybody give him a nice thumbs up. You got to like this video a few times for Salvatore, man. Becoming a dad for the first time is an amazing thing. It's scary. It makes you anxious. You don't sleep for 2.5 years, which she probably hasn't anyway for the last, 5 years. So, whatever, another 2.5, whatever. But anyway, it is a life-changing event. And it's just awesome in so many ways. The actual parenting aspect for the first few years, not awesome at all. And then once they get old enough to think you're embarrassing, also becomes a bit of a nuisance. However, at the end of the day, becoming a new dad is a really cool thing. So hats off to Salvatore. What that means is, according, pertaining to this question, is that in roughly 17 years, man, we got a new dev. Only 17 years to go. That's soon in somebody's, if you're like, I don't know, on the dwarf planet Pluto, 17 Earth years, what is that, like? Day and a half or something? I don't know what it is. I'm not an astronomer. Yeah, that's how you pronounce that. So anyway, recruitment of developers. So the recruitment in Mexico hasn't officially started yet. Still working on some job specs. We'll probably get them over to them next week, and that will officially start. They have experience, pretty good amount of experience, in hiring developers. So they're going to be focused on that, though they are going to be hiring many, many other roles for us as well. In Estonia, we've now had 4 or 5 interviews, and I don't know the outcome of those interviews yet, but we have gotten about 30 or 40 resumes, of which 5 made it to the first interview process. I think 1 or 2 now are on the second, maybe 3 on that second interview process. So things are moving forward. We want to find the best of the best of the best of the best. Anybody know what movie that's from? I just was on that ride the other day, shooting aliens. Anyway, we want to find the best, the best, the best of 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 the best. And thus, we're being a little nitpicky when it comes to the process this time around. Who am I kidding? I don't think we've ever hired a dev internally. We haven't been able to, which is crazy. But now we're real picky because we want to make sure we make the right choice. Moving on. What if governments declare all ICO coins are securities? What would be the implications? Well, I don't expect that to happen, Bill. Not because governments give half of 2 shits, that would be 1 shit if you're counting, about ICOs in general. That's just way too vague and way too kind of over and all-encompassing, and would cause a massive amount of work load and probably a massive amount of negative judicial precedent against that potential declaration. So I don't expect that to happen, not even in the slightest. If it did happen, though, theoretically, well, you say governments. You mean like all governments at once? That would be quite crazy. You know, I don't think 180 something countries' governments would at once all make the same exact declaration. If that were to happen, you would have an underground market that would be that at that point, you know, normally if a large government says something's illegal, there, you know, you start to have a black market. But that black market generally has lower volumes than, let's say, the market that is public over time, because more and more people want to do more work in that public market because they don't want to be associated with criminals, and or they're worried that they may end up, you know, in jail or otherwise. If all countries were to create a law tomorrow that said all tokens were ICOs, or all ICO tokens were securities. Now, there's not many ICO tokens left, let's be honest. It's like CoinMetro and 4 other dudes, and maybe a couple dudettes, I'm sure. But if that were to happen, the black market would probably, in my opinion, be more larger than the non-existent public law. It'd have to be larger, I guess. But the black market would probably flourish, because at that point, everybody in the world would be pissed that we're interacting with those assets, and they would find a place to interact with those assets. So that, I don't know, that might work to the disadvantage of regulators, to be honest. Are you able to market through Facebook yet? Not yet. Still working on Facebook. Hard nut to crack. Pain in the ass. Hate Facebook. How is the application for the MTF license going? Hey, Charlie. So it looks like our initial application. So I'm going to break this down for you guys like this. In Estonia, there's no such thing as an MTF license. It's actually a permission underneath a license called an investment firm license. The investment firm license has many, many different permissions, from asset management to processing of client orders, to execution of client orders, to transmission of client orders, blah, 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 blah. MTF is one additional permission. It looks like in the beginning, we won't actually need the MTF permission, and we will stick with about, I don't know how many other permissions, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, something like that, permissions that'll allow us to do everything we want to do to offer options and futures in the crypto markets, as well as, if we choose, offer different markets like FX, for example, physical and deliverable FX, as well as trading apps, so we can offer, you know, currency pairs, tokenized or otherwise, or non-tokenized. What the MTF license essentially allows you to do, in addition to the rest, there's a permission called systemic internalizer, I think. It's systemic internalizer, I think, is the name of the permission. Somebody out there may know. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's systemic internalizer, which sounds really cool. It sounds like the Terminator or something. What the systemic internalizer can do versus what an MTF can do. So MTF allows a matching engine, but they define a matching engine in a very specific way. And though we do run a matching engine, the vast majority of matches happen outwardly to liquidity providers, which, since they are directly contracted with us, potentially leaves us underneath that systemic internalizer. And even when orders aren't connected directly to a systemic internalizer, it seems we may not need the MTF classification for the way we currently run our order book. And so we're currently looking into that. So MTF license is an easy way to say it. Let's call it an investment firm to be more accurate. We are in documentation phase now. I expect to be out of documentation phase before the end of Q4. And then we will move forward to process that application with the regulator. Start walking bare feet, no socks. Your feet will be prepared for the next time Disney World. I do that actually almost all the time. In fact, you can ask people, well, it's socks. In the office, I put socks on because, come on, can't go to the office with no socks. But in my house, even right now, I'm barefoot. Yeah, I'm barefoot. I do the thing I learned from Die Hard. I think it was the first Die Hard movie. That this is for jet lag, but whatever. That you should take your bare feet, put it on a carpet, and make fists with your toes. It actually works. Not necessarily for jet lag, but it definitely works for tired feet. I have flat feet though, which makes it even worse. I really just need a better pair of comfortable shoes. The shoes I have right now are not comfortable. I got to call up Forrest Gump and get some tips on some comfortable shoes. The amendment says that brokers need to report crypto gains with a vague definition of brokers. Yeah, okay. You know, the definition might be vague. Reporting crypto gains. So, to be honest, even without this new law, under many conditions, anyone serving U.S. clients as a financial intermediary is supposed to follow, again, the Patriot Act, which requires the submission of certain documentation. The question there, and the reason why they're trying to push this through that specifically ties in crypto, is that since crypto aren't considered financial instruments, they don't fall underneath that classification. But US dollars are financial instruments. And when you transact in US dollars against crypto, does that automatically make it a financial instrument? That's been a question, I think, for some time on certain people's heads and minds. So we've been in a gray area for some time. I don't expect there to be that this version of the current bill, whether it passes or not, will actually make its way without getting rectified. Why? Well, there's a lot of reasons why. One of those is that financial instrument classification that I just mentioned. It's also a question of, does that is that going to, how are they going to police that for entities that aren't based in the US and that don't hold a national license that doesn't exist yet? So in FX, for example, there is a license from the CFTC. That CFTC license is federal, meaning it goes across the entire nation. You don't need statewide licensing. And you are required, if you offer services to US individuals, to have that license. Right now, there's only registration required if you have no physical presence in the US in many, many states through FinCEN. That's all going to have to change, and I do expect it will change, but not next month and probably not next year, in order for this type of law to be properly policed. At right now, it would be very difficult for this to be policed unless they only, and more than likely they would be looking at the biggest fish at first, rather than trying to police small fish. So I wouldn't get too worried about this, even if it passes in its original form, because I would expect amendments. Obviously, if it passes, there's going to be a date that it'll be implemented. And shortly before that date, I would expect the can to be kicked down the road for these particular provisions and probably amendments made. Is current Tram already technical running, but we don't see it because of design missing? Or is the full remake still to be pushed live? We did push a technical revamp of the Tram on our release candidate. I don't think it's gone live yet, but I could be wrong. It was pushed on the release candidate 2 weeks ago for testing. I haven't followed up with testing, so I don't know where the testing stands. It potentially could be live already, but I don't think it is. I think it's still just on our release candidate. And more than likely, we would release code before design. So you would get, though without the design, some of that code won't be accessible to you, like new features, for example. Hey, Kev, have you heard of FTX Exchange? Absolutely. They launched 2019 in the last 24 hours, had 1.6 billion in volume. What do you think they did or had that CoinMetro didn't? Sure, I've heard of FTX. They kind of went a hybrid route between regulated and non-regulated. They are not regulated, that's for sure. But they did so, they started out with at least decent compliance. They definitely had some money behind them, that's for sure. They didn't come out with, small pockets. So they had some pretty deep pockets behind them, which allowed them to kind of flood the market. And they did they were kind of the better Binance, I guess, in many ways. Money is definitely a thing. Having a team, having the resources, it's all about human resources, and that usually takes money. We've been a very small team for quite many years, and now have gotten the chance to try and expand that team and bring on key roles that are really going to help us expand. I've talked about the tortoise and hare a million times. I'll talk about it again. Some businesses that use the hare approach end up winning. And FTX, I think, has a chance, because they're so young, to actually potentially get licensed and be in favor of the regulator. Whereas Binance has little chance to become regulated under their current structure and or have the favor of the regulator, at least the major regulators of the world. I'm not talking about your Maltas or your Seychelles or your BVIs. I'm talking about real top-level regulators, US, UK, Japan, etc., Australia to a certain extent. The ASIC is doing a good job. Singapore, MAS as well. At the end of the day, FTX had lots of resources, and they put those resources into the right places. And they learned, I think, from mistakes that a lot of companies made in this space up to 2019. But definitely had to do, I think, majorly with the resources to get the right team in place fast and really push. And for us, we've had to build those resources. But we are getting the right team in place. And we do attack a bit differently. And I think market share is there for us, and it will be there for us. And we will take a very good amount of market share from, especially from regions of the world where we are regulated. Why are the Texans coming back into the book? When are the Texans coming back in the book? Have you talked with them? Are they ever? Waiting basically on the amount of their collateral to grow. So I think we need to see ETH maybe 30% higher, Bitcoin about the same. They do have some decent amount of collateral in quants, which obviously the recent rise in quant has helped out. And I think they're waiting on a few key releases as well from CoinMetro side. So last conversation I had was a few weeks ago. I'm definitely going to have more conversations. It is the summer again, guys. You know, doesn't mean business is off in the summer, but generally speaking, business is a bit slower in the summer, especially when it comes to outreach, because people are traveling, they're taking time off, etc. I support CoinMetro, but if something like FTX can do so well so quickly, I wonder what CM could be doing differently. Yeah, like I said, I think it's mostly about resources, to be honest. Is it funding? Why not go for 50, 100 million VC round? Funding is part of the issue. It definitely. I don't think our company currently is ready to go after a 50 or 100 million VC round. We're simply not there. We need to get our valuation higher. How we're going to do that is by increasing our metrics and increasing the amount of clients we currently have, and that also requires resource. So you know, if you start day one with the resources you need in order to push your client base to 1 million clients relatively quickly, and that means you're just probably giving away free money, basically, or there's some gimmick inside of your marketing that's basically giving away free money, and that gets you to 1 million clients real quick. Once you have those 1 million clients, you can quickly start to push your valuation quickly to the upside. For us, we are just now in that phase that we're able to really grow our current resources. And that's why we're in this hiring mode. That's why we're recruiting, etc. And so as we do that, we can then start and push more money, more of the revenue that we're seeing into marketing, which will bring us more clients. So yeah, look, there's always going to be companies that come in and do things really fast. And that usually comes from resources. Sometimes it comes from just kind of not really caring about the legal or regulatory side in a regulated business initially. And you just plow through everybody. And then you hope that once you get traction, you'll be able to pivot. If you pivot too late, you'll probably fail. If you pivot too early, you won't see the growth you needed to see to maintain those 50 and 100 million VC rounds. So it's a tricky game. I think it's less tricky, though maybe a bit more frustrating, or a bit more, you have to be a bit more patient when you take the longer route, because you build that structure, you build everything you need, and then it's just about getting the money, getting that push to build the resources to really start to move forward. And I think that's where we're sitting right now. Yeah, yeah, it's resource. Whether resource money is one thing. If you have a lot of money, but you don't know what you're doing, then you'll probably not have a lot of money for long. And there are lots of people with a lot of money that don't know what they're doing. I mean, if a guy bought Bitcoin at a low price and just held, he's not really a good trader. In fact, he's probably one of the worst investors if you think about what you're supposed to do as an investor, how you're supposed to pull profit out of the market, et cetera. All those rule 10, investing 101 rules that most people have read a million times. But he got lucky. I'm not saying Sam Bankman got lucky. What I'm saying is that there are rich people out there that aren't smart and thus make bad decisions and then go from being rich to not so rich in the future. So money definitely helps. And building a team, having the money to build the team and get the resources is what really helps. It's all about human resources. I mean, companies are just humans at the end of the day. Hi, Kevin. I can video edit. Is there any way I can contribute to the cause? Hey, send a message on our Telegram group. I'm sure marketing might have something you can help out with. Why not? How's it going in Mexico? Well, I'm currently in the U.S., so not in Mexico, but Mexico's still there, I think. Still generally the same as it was when I left it, I assume. But things were going okay. Trying to get trying to get a bit of personal time, bit of family time, as well as keeping up work schedule. And trying to get some sun and some beach, which I got a bit. We got a bit so far. I got a bit. I probably don't look anything different than I did, but I did get a bit. How are you doing in building income streams around staking to increase the 500K limit? When will be allowed to use XCM as collateral? XCM as collateral, new Tram update, I think will probably be a catalyst for that. Even though obviously Tram isn't the only system that can be traded on margin, there's also just margin trading. We've said this a while. We need a decent book to be able to do that, or else we could be shooting ourselves in the foot. And while the book was growing, the whole market saw a downturn, and that caused a lot of collateral from our investors to fall, and that meant that they couldn't support the XCM book as they were previously. We need that support to come back into the book so that we can think about adding collateral. We can't really do that beforehand, or else we will, for sure, see stop-out situations when either other assets fall that people have as collateral and thus kills their XCM positions, or XCM falls, killing other positions. Now, XCM doesn't have that much to fall at this point before it hits that technical price floor. So potentially, if we maintain this current area and start to move slightly higher, that may be cause for us to move, even if the book isn't as populated as we would like it to be. And as far as the income on staking, moving forward, I did expect it at some point. I think I said 6 to 9 months, and then I said we may even get it done a lot quicker, within 1 to 3 months. We're still within that 1 to 3 months time frame. Still trying to work out some deals with providers, as well as upstream providers and downstream providers, about yielding on assets. Haven't gotten to that sweet deal that we'd like yet, so we're still negotiating. But it is in progress. Are you actively seeking out more Tram managers, or are you just passively waiting for them? We're not actively seeking at this point, but we will once the new Tram platform is launched. Are you planning to do an AMA with THT? Absolutely. I think we're going to get the KDA one in the bag first, and then we'll see about moving forward with THT as well. Any ideas when an AMA with THT would come? After Kadena. After Kadena. Would definitely love to do that with the THT team. Why does Ignium have almost empty order books? Does it need some liquidity providers? Well, it's all spot and it's all billboard, meaning that you place your order. There's no matching engine. So Ignium simply needs to grow its client base in order to grow that liquidity. There is an idea from CoinMetro's side that once CoinMetro acquires a new licensing, that it will provide synthetic liquidity into that book by way of a derivatives market. That's going to be an interesting thing to test out once we get there. For now, though, those Ignium books become more populated when more people are buying and selling. Simple as that. Men in Black, good on you. You won the contest for today. I don't know what that contest was, but good on you. Best of the best of the best, sir, with honors. Classic. Yep. Harold knows it as well. When can I transfer assets? That's because, if people don't know, Harold is an alien. So he actually has been to the MIB headquarters, the real one. They actually call it MIG. It's Men in Green. But you know, they had to change the name for the movie. When can I transfer assets from CM account to another? That's coming. I expect I still think we may get that done in Q3. We will see, but I think it's still a Q3 project. We just need to get the total official sign off from legal, which I believe we have. I actually have a call with legal on Monday, so I'm going to bring it up. What is your Chinese zodiac sign? Indiana Jones. Now it's going to be in my head all day, and I'm going to be singing that while I'm walking around. Thank you. Chinese zodiac sign. I have no idea, actually. I have no idea. Do you think that Coinbase's BaFin license is a huge milestone as they communicate? It's a pretty big, I don't know what to be honest, I didn't even know they got a license at BaFin. Do you know what license it is? If it's, you know, depends on, well, getting a license with BaFin is a big milestone. It's one of the more structured regulators in Europe. In fact, in mainland Europe, it's kind of the only game in town, to be honest, for getting licensed. You really wouldn't go to France or Italy or Spain or, you know, almost anywhere else to get a mainstream financial license. So yeah, look, if we did it, we would be screaming it from the rooftops for sure. Crypto custody license. Okay. So this is a new breed of license. I don't think this one's fully passportable, more than likely, because I don't know of any other country that has a crypto custody license. So not the biggest win, but still, Germany's a massive market. They got a license from BaFin, which makes a relationship with one of probably the premier regulator in Europe. So still something that, yeah, I think is definitely something to scream from the rooftops, I would say. Hey, Kevin, I sent you an email, but you didn't reply. Does that mean my question was insane, or are you busy? I don't know if you sent me an email, can you resend it? Because sometimes my inbox gets really stupid. I mean, I get hundreds and hundreds of emails a day, and sometimes I may delete emails that I should read. It happens. So please send it in, and I'll take a look. Ignium's going well. Actually, finally finished hiring our product teams over at Ignium. Our product team, our initial product team, meaning developers, front and back end. So Ignium's done well, actually, hiring developers. Found a resource in a recruiting agency that's done quite well. We probably will use that same recruiting agency at CoinMetro, but in order to not cause a conflict of interest, while Ignium was looking for developers, we decided not to do the same with the same recruiter. We didn't want to be eating from the same pool. But now that Ignium is completed, I think we will. It took about 6 months, but they put together a pretty good. I keep saying they. I feel, you know, my role at Ignium now is more on the advisory level because I simply didn't have time to be operational, which I expected to be. And so sometimes I say they. I don't really mean they. I mean us. But I'm a little bit disconnected from the team right now. One, I've been traveling, and then two, I'm not in day-to-day meetings. So while I'm still a shareholder and I'm still an advisor, and hopefully next week we'll start getting some calls back on the books between myself and everybody else at Ignium. Anyway, just wanted to put that out because I catch myself saying it, but I'm not trying to say it. It's just, I don't know. Anyway, so Ignium's doing well. In that really cool growth phase, proving that our product is actually needed and wanted, and of value to clients, and I think we're proving that. So it's a cool phase to be in. There is a lot of truth in saying people invest in people. Money is a tool, absolutely. Yeah, you have to invest in people. If you're investing in a company name, then you're probably going to make bad investments. Would you open a VC round in CM for us all future? Absolutely. We absolutely will do that. Sure. When CM can overtake Bitpanda. I think we will absolutely overtake Bitpanda. Bitpanda as in the feed that we show, which is, I think, their specific crypto feed. We will absolutely overtake them. It's just a matter of time. We've grown. Look, I know people, you have to step back sometimes because crypto can be such a compact market from day to day. One day in crypto is like a year in any other financial market. Yeah. So you have to step back and look. When you look at this time last year, we were trading 20, 30,000 a day. Now we're trading between 1 and 3 million a day. That's a big jump. If we have that same jump next year, we'll be in the 300 million category, to 100 to 300 million category. It'll be a completely different ballgame, and I expect it to be a completely different ballgame. We've seen lots of growth, and we will see continued growth, and we will eventually take over Bitpanda for sure. Why? Because we're simply a better company. We offer better products. We have a better team. We have better support, and we will get there. But it's a process. Simple as that. Yeah, BaFin. Yeah, German. Did I not say Germany here? Anyway, yeah, BaFin, Germany. Yeah, absolutely. How's Ignium going? Oh, Ignium has AMA. No, Ignium does not do AMAs. I don't know if Remo is going to start doing AMAs at some point. We can do a joint one for sure. CoinMetro and Ignium. I just hope I don't say they too much. Jesus. How many new users a week are signing up on average? I haven't looked at the stat in a bit. We actually have a great new kind of data warehouse where we have all kinds of really cool facts and figures. But because I've been traveling, I haven't really logged in much in the last week or two. I would say right now in the ballpark of something like 1,500 to 3,000 new users a week, something like that. All right, everybody, we just kicked over an hour. Oh, we got one more. Well, this one just popped in, so I'm going to take it. Have you thought of advertising? Crypto.com has made great gains since advertising. We do advertise. We do Google ads in the US where we were approved way before this new approval thing came out just a day or so ago. We do Google ads. We do Twitter. We do some advertising on Twitter. We do some indirect advertising on Facebook. We do ads. We are just looking ways to scale that advertising and looking to find the best way to get CoinMetro on multiple platforms. But absolutely, we do advertising. Crypto.com is able to do advertising that we can't, simply because they kept pushing and pushing Facebook, for example, and finally got through the Facebook automatic wall. We haven't yet, but we are working on it, and we will get there. All right, everybody. I'm going to end it here. Thank you so much. It's been a great hour. I love doing these things. I love answering these questions. Thanks, Harold, for coming in, not holding a grudge. We did, like I said, if nobody saw it, it's a good thing that you didn't see it, but we had a bit of a blowout on Telegram. Anyway, frustrations can run high. We're all human, and sometimes, frustration boils over. You did. It's just hard to add. Yeah, it is hard to add information. Lots of stuff coming in, Harold. I know. Let's see. What is this? When can German users get the old XCM locking bonuses again without having to stake? That's coming. That was actually requested and is coming. I don't have a specific date on it, but ask in Telegram and we'll see if we can fish out a date for you. Anyway, guys and girls, I hope we had a few girls in here today. I hope. We got to bring more women into crypto, guys. We have to. At CoinMetro, I think we have more women in our office than we do men. So we're definitely on the forefront of that. So have a great weekend, everybody. Spend time with friends and family. If you can't do it physically, do it virtually. Love seeing everybody here. Love the questions. Love answering the questions. Hopefully I did those questions some form of justice. See you guys next week again from Mexico, and the week after, 3 weeks from now, back in Estonia. Finally, I can't wait to get back in the office and see everybody's smiling faces. Thanks, Moni. And thank you, Indiana. Indiana likes the beard. That's coming from quite the connoisseur of beards, I think. Has Indiana ever worn a beard in the movies? I don't think so. Maybe he has. I don't know. He should have a beard. He should. Anyway, have a great weekend, everybody. See you on Telegram. You can tag me on Telegram at Kevin Murcko. You can also tweet me at Kevin Murcko. And remember, when you're talking to those friends and family, especially family, and you're having a good chat about how Aunt Bertha finally got one of her cats to win that golden cat competition in Sandusky, Ohio. Make sure you let her know that the best thing she can do to promote that victory is by buying XCM. Anyway, guys, have a great weekend. Talk to you soon. Cheers.